Welcome to the May 11th, 2023 Inspiring Author Conversations. I'm Kathy Davis, Davis Creative Publishing Partners. Today, we'll be talking with Danielle Weil about how to leverage your book into a successful online program or course. Before we welcome Danielle, I just want to mention a few logistics. The call is being recorded. You'll receive a link to the YouTube video within about 48 hours after the call. Your attendance at these meetings serves as your permission to be seen in the recordings. Please remember to mute yourself if you've not already done so, and find your chat button down at the bottom of your screen. If you run your mouse over the bottom, you'll find that chat button and type all your questions into that chat. I'll be watching it to make sure we get your questions answered. We promise to end the call around noon or shortly thereafter, usually around 12:15-ish. If we have a lot of questions, we'll go longer. At the most, we'll go to 12:30. Welcome, Danielle. I'm thrilled you could be here today. I'm so excited. I'm trying to remember where we met or how it was through. Was it through Dames?
Must have been.
Must have been, yeah. And she and I have had great conversations, and I thought we need to get you on one of our calls. So welcome to our Lunch and Learn. I'm going to mentioned you have slides. I'm going to let you take over and show us your slides and take it from here. And I'll watch the questions for us.
All right. Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm going to share my screen.
While she does that, I didn't want to forget to mention that Danielle is a copy marketing strategist who helps expert business owners make more sales with narrative first marketing. Since 2006, she's written dozens of 6- and 7-figure launches, generating over 100 million in sales for her clients. She's mentored business owners to break their own sales records with copy that sounds like them, but makes so much more money. Awesome, Danielle. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
All right. Let me just make sure that I've got everything that I need here to dive in. And welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I would love if you could just so we get to know you, one of my weird questions is, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? So if you're here, kind of pop in the chat, like where you're from and what your favorite ice cream flavor is. Just curious while we get into it, and then we will dive right in.
Awesome.
You might want to have a pen and notebook, something to take notes on. This is a workshop style, so we are going to be doing some things in real time here. Mint chocolate chip, my favorite. How did you know? Okay, awesome. Pistachio, the other green. Okay, here is what we're going to talk about today. The best way to leverage your book into a course, how to create a compelling sales narrative around your course, the studio audience method to create a course fast. This is how I've created all of my programs, and I will share it with you. Key mistakes to avoid, and much more. So if you are ready to dive in, please give me a thumbs up or a Y or a yes or a let's do it in the chat, and let's do it. First, a tiny bit about me. Thank you so much for the introduction. Here is just a little bit about me. I write launches that make a lot of money. I grew up in Florida, but I now live in Israel. I studied creative writing at NYU. I have been writing copy professionally for 17 plus years. I have 4 kids, a dog, and a super husband. I'm a little bit type A, detail-oriented kind of person, and my mission is really helping business owners see more success and feel more confident in their messaging and strategy. And here's what that looks like for some of my clients, right? It's launches that work, launches that feel good, especially around if you're launching courses and programs. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm curious, how many of you already have some sort of online course or program in some form that you've created? Okay, Pam, cool. Not yet. How many of you are thinking about creating one? That should be all hands because you're here, right? How many of you are just curious and want to know what this is all about?
Well, yes.
Okay, great. So let's talk about why it makes sense to turn your book into a course. It's accessible. So you actually are enabling people to have a deeper, bigger transformation than you potentially can with your book. Because you can create more interaction, more gamification. You can have deeper learning that happens through a course. It's potentially very profitable, right? Like you can charge, depending on the type of transformation and your market, potentially the hundreds or even thousands of dollars for an online course, right? And so it's a great way to take the people who are interested in what you have written in your book and continue to work with you or to continue to take it further. And it's fulfilling. I love nothing more than teaching and working with students and getting really diving into the words and seeing people's messaging comes together and seeing the magic happen. And if you are that kind of person who enjoys that, who enjoys teaching, who enjoys seeing people get results, there's nothing more fulfilling than creating a course that lets you do that with them. Right? So we're all on board. This is great. The question is, how? And this is where a lot of people get tripped up, right? Because it's where do I start? What is my course going to be about? Where should I price it? How do I launch it? All of the questions come in. And it can be really, really easy to get distracted or postpone or delay or wait for something to be perfect and then it never gets launched. We don't want that. We want your course out into the world. We want it to be a continuation of the brilliance of your book. And speaking of which, the people who have bought your book are actually the perfect audience for your course, right? They know you, they like you, they trust you, they've already bought your stuff, and they might just want more. So my question for you is, do you have their email addresses? Do you have a way for people who buy your book to give you their email address, get on your newsletter, get on your communication list? And if you don't, that is a perfect opportunity right there to start collecting them. How do you do that? I've seen authors do it in a number of ways. One way is potentially offering some bonus chapters or material if they go put their email address right on your website. Just go here, pop in your email address, and I'll send you behind the scenes bonus material from my book. Or I'll send you updates about what I'm working on. Right? Be in the loop, be in the know. And then what happens is when you have those email addresses, that becomes the audience that you launch your course to. Right? And I love it for authors because it's built in, right? A book is a great, great way to build an audience if you are using it strategically in that way and consciously using it in that way. So if there's any questions, thoughts around that, as we go, if you have any takeaways or ahas, feel free to pop into the chat and let me know what it is so we can all share those takeaways and questions as well as we go along. Right, and your course can be a deeper continuation of the ideas in your book. How? And the best way that I recommend is to sell it before you build it. Okay? And this is where, again, people get stuck. They think, okay, I have to film all these videos and create this whole thing and map it out and plan it out. You do not. The very first version of your course starts with one simple question. And this is the question. If asking your audience, which you are starting to build by gathering email addresses, by gathering your social media followers, people on Facebook, people who follow you, you're connected with on LinkedIn, whatever that audience is, if I were to do a workshop around this topic, would you be interested? Hit reply and say yes. Comment yes below. You've gotten people to raise their hands around a potential topic for a course. You've essentially validated that initial demand for something. You get enough people to say yes, and those are the people that you then reach out to and say, hey, I'm creating this. Would you like to be one of the founding members? Okay, we're seeing some note taking going on here. Awesome, we love it. Just ask. That's how you launch your first book, by asking that question. Amazing, right? We can think what we think people want to hear and know and know, but that's not the best way to see what there is demand for in the marketplace. Like we can think we have the best idea in the world and then we put it out there and it falls flat because we haven't asked. We haven't said, hey, is this something that people are really going to be interested in? And it will save you so much time and energy and money if you ask before you create it. Even more if you get paid to create it. Who likes the idea of getting paid to create your course? Right? Awesome. How do you do that? The easiest way that I have created my own programs has been by delivering them as a workshop, a live 2 to 3 hour workshop max. And I have sold tickets to that. And I call this the studio audience method. Okay. How does it work? Step 1, sell the workshop. Say, hey, I'm doing this workshop. It's going to be around it. Once you've validated that people want this topic, right? You want to ask them what they're struggling with when it comes to X topic. So when it comes to this, like hit reply or go ahead and let me know what you're struggling with. Please feel free to tell me as much as you want. I will read every word. And so they will share with you the things that they're struggling with, and you can then tailor your course to those problems to make sure you cover them. You can also tailor the marketing to those specific problems, right? Is this all making sense so far? Everybody with me? Seeing nods, amazing. Okay. So step 1, sell your workshop. One person in your workshop is enough, okay? That is it. You only need one person in your audience to have an audience to deliver a workshop to. Believe me, I have done this before with one person in the audience and the course turned out amazing. You just need one, a person who paid you, and then you are on the hook to deliver it, right? Okay, so sell the workshop. Say, hey, I'm doing this workshop. It's happening in such and such a date, such and such a time. You know, it's $97, $197, $297, whatever you feel comfortable selling it for. Because in essence, it's not about the amount of money that you're going to make. It's about getting people in the room to deliver that content to. We're with me? Okay, sell the workshop. Design the workshop so that the lessons that you teach, your slides, your whatever, are broken out into the eventual structure that you want your course to be. Okay, so this is the key piece. So if you've got 5 modules or 5 lessons or whatever, that is the structure that you want your workshop to be in. And we'll see why in a second. Okay, Richard says, I have an in-person soon that will be, okay, helpful, awesome. So you break your content into lessons, you have those slide decks ready, you have, you know, your content ready for whatever it is you want to teach on that workshop. You get everybody in a Zoom, even if it's your one person, they're in, and you start by saying, hey, this workshop is actually going to become my program. So here's how it's going to work. You are my live studio audience, okay? And when the red light goes on, we're in, we're in recording mode, and I'm just going to be teaching. Like, this is the fancy recording version of the course. And then I'll pause, the red light will go off, and you'll be able to ask any questions you want about the material, and we can chat back and forth. So it's almost like a TV show where you have the audience that's quiet, the red light goes on, and then in between there's a chance for a little bit more interaction, and you're able to answer their questions, explain anything, and also get feedback right then and there about what their takeaways were, about what their questions were, about what worked and what didn't. Okay, so you've got the recording. The whole key is to say, hey, when you hit the red light, right? It's all recorded. We just pretend to hit the red light and say, welcome, we're here in lesson 3, we're here in module 3, wherever you are, right? Knowing that you are going to take that recording and chop it up. You've got your course, it's done, right? You edit, you repackage it, you get your marketing and your pages up and everything for it, and then you sell it again and again and again and again.
And Richard's got a great idea. What do you think about saying this course this is a course launch, like a beta, and offer a special invitation or maybe a special price?
Yeah, well, and I've done that as well. It's a great question. It's a great idea. You can say something like, this will become my program. It will eventually cost $9.97, and you can get a ticket for, $200 off, 300 off, 50% off, whatever discount you want to give that makes it feel really good. Great idea. Okay, so we're with me on, you do not have to overthink this to create it. And it's best, like the energy I've found is different when you're talking to people as opposed to just hitting record on a camera and talking to the camera. Have you felt that? Is that something like, do you feel a difference when you've got people you're talking to versus trying to record something yourself? Right? You're a lot more natural, you're a lot more conversational. You end up explaining things better when you know you're talking to people. There's just something about that. So that's why I love this method. That's why it has gotten me out of my own head to create my courses, because I know I will show up and deliver for my people. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that motivates me more than anything else.
It's hard talking to a screen when you can't see the faces or the people, or you're looking for reactions and they're not there. So they have
Exactly. And
is
you
awesome.
calibrate your energy based on other people's reactions.
Mhm.
And so having people in the room just makes the quality of your course so much different than if you were to sit down and pre-record everything, right? So this is why I love the get paid to do it, record it as a live studio audience, and then it's done. You can, of course, then take that once you've sold it, once you've proven concept, re-record in a little higher quality way, re-record the modules, tweak some things, edit some things. But this is your MVP. This is your first version. It does not need to be perfect. We
I
are
love that.
ditching perfectionism. Okay, so now we're going to shift gears a little bit and we've talked about how you create it and pre-sell it. Now let's talk about how you launch it, how you create the language around it, how you create your narrative around it to sell. And this is, I'm just going to take a sip of water here and pause for any questions, comments, ahas in the chat. This is my, awesome, thank you, Keith. This is my signature process. The idea of creating a sales narrative or a launch narrative. Once you know these 4 pieces, you will start to see them everywhere. So I fair warning, heads up, you will start to see this everywhere. And it may just change the way that you approach marketing copy. So if you're ready, you can't unsee it once you see it. Cool? Cool.
Awesome.
First one, if you imagine, well, actually, let's go back. If you imagine that the journey that you are taking someone, just like in a book, there's a journey, right? You're taking someone from where they are to on a journey, on a bridge. I call that the bridge, right? From where they are now, currently with their problem, to where you want them to be on the other side, credit card in hand, going, take my money. That's what we want. That is the journey we want people to have. And we do not want to push them across that bridge. That's not nice. We want them to like run across it because they are so excited to get to the other side. And we want to make sure that there are no planks missing in that bridge.
I have a
We want to
quick
make sure. Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry. You mentioned, and this, I think we're maybe going there, but you mentioned a live 2 to 3 hour workshop. Is there a magic in that 2 to 3 hours, or could it be 1 to 2?
It can be whatever the content needs to be.
Okay.
Whatever it needs to be for you to deliver the content in your course, that is what it should be. I generally recommend no more than 3 hours. That's just sort of pushing the limit of what people can handle attention-wise.
So
Mine have,
if you have more
yeah,
content, maybe break it up into 3 events or 3 recordings.
yeah, you could do
Yeah.
a multi-day event. You could do, right? My courses have all generally been, I like to keep it tight in terms of video length.
Mhm.
And let people do the work in the workbooks. That's what works for mine. They've generally been around 2 hours,
Gotcha.
90 minutes to
Thank
2
you.
hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we've shifted gears a little bit to talk about the marketing piece, right? Like, how do I sell this thing? and how do I position it? So if we're talking about the bridge, we want to make sure that there are no missing planks in this bridge. That people are going to want to walk across and get that transformation that we want them to have. Okay, so the first pillar is we have to start with where they are. We have to start with the problem. And in thinking about this piece, it's like, what are the symptoms that your ideal customer is having? Sorry. What does that look like? How is it showing up in their life? What do they think the problem is? What or who are they blaming for that problem? And how are they describing it in their words? And if we can describe that to them better than they can themselves, then and we can diagnose, then we have earned their trust, or we've started to earn their trust. We've at least captured their attention. And I love that all of you are authors and have books, because chances are you have already done this, right?
Mhm. Yep.
In your book. Especially if your book is around a topic that helps people in some way around your expertise. And raise your hand, just let me know if that is the case. If you have, right? Okay, awesome. So if not, just pop in the chat what your book is about. I'm super curious. Okay, so we're talking around starting with meeting someone where they are, essentially. We're meeting them where they are. Sheila says imposter syndrome, great one, amazing. That is 100% a problem. Okay, your book is a journal for a specific niche, awesome. What niche? Just let me know. We can customize this. Okay. Great. That works. Anybody else want to pop in? The ripple of influence. I'm curious to know more. We might get there. Okay. Just everyone is typing. We'll come back here. Part 1. And if we can, smart business. Okay, so we have a business book here. Definitely problems there, right? And if you've written a book on it, you know what they are. You have a leg up on a lot of people starting this process because you've actually articulated them in words already for the most part. So feel free to pull from that, right? A study on how nonprofit CEOs lead their staff. Amazing. Okay, I'm interested, curious. Pillar number 1 is the problem. The next piece, and you'll probably be familiar with this, is the story. This is, you have described the problem to them. Now tell me why you get them. Tell me why you get it. It's either because you've been there and you have experienced the same problems they have had and you've made your way out, or it's because of your expertise. You've solved the problem for other people. You know how to solve it. You have the expertise to solve it. So whatever that story is, whether it's one or the other or both, that next piece is where this story comes in. It's like, if you are this, struggling with this, I get it. Here's why. I've been there, I've worked with, I know, I understand, right? That's that language that goes there. The third piece here is where you blow their minds. Because if someone is struggling with a problem, they have that story that they're telling about it, they think they know what's happening, but generally, and generally what they say the problem is not actually what the problem is. There's actually something deeper, there's actually something different going on, and you know that, and they don't yet. And so if you can articulate that for them in a new way, so that they go, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, I get it. It's not this, it's actually that. Whoa. and then they understand why they've really been suffering, what has happened, why this has actually been a problem. Then you've gone, oh, okay, yes, now I'm paying attention. Like, you have accurately diagnosed my problem, and you've actually given me a deeper understanding of it and shifted everything for me. So what happens next? Now that you know what the problem really is, you've had that discovery, you've given them that discovery. The next piece here is the solution. Now that you know, what do you do about it? What are you going to do about it? So this is where we say, this is your unique framework, your unique solution, your offer. What do you actually need to solve this problem? What are the steps? What is the framework? What's the process? And what does the world look like for you once you've actually solved it? Don't forget to paint the picture of what is possible, of what happens, what it looks like on the other side. Whether that is through previous client stories or your own story or your beautiful imagination and your power to craft with words, because we're all writers in this room. What does it look like on the other side? Okay, and when you're putting together, we've got the 4 pillars here: problem, story, discovery, solution. And if you look at some of the ads, sales pages, webinars, marketing in our space, you may just see these pieces flowing together, right? You'll start to see it. You'll start to see the paradigm. Start to see the bones underneath, right? Like there's what people are saying, and then there's what it's doing. There's the structure underneath. And we, as writers, this is so much easier to explain because you get this. When you get your launch narrative right, it actually makes writing all of the marketing content for your launch to launch and sell your course so much easier. You have the one core narrative, and then you are able to pull out pieces and turn them into individual emails, social media posts, ads. Your narrative becomes your webinar. I know because I've done this for my clients, and I've actually done it for myself on a recent launch that happened, that is just wrapped up. I wrote the sales page, I laid out the narrative, and it inspired everything else. So what you're actually doing is writing just one key piece of marketing content that makes everything else easier. Are we good so far? We're good. Some people went off camera, but I got some thumbs up. Awesome. So how do we get started? How do we get started? We want to, first of all, decide what your course is going to be about, whether it is a continuation of your book. Now, the thing is, if the decisions to make around your course, and it's not on the slide, so just focus here. Your book might be too big to put in one course. So that's something to think about. It's something to consider. It's a different calculation. What you might think about is, what transformation can I create for people? And in what time frame can I realistically do that? So I've seen people who try to put their entire body of work into one program, and it ends up being overwhelming. So that might work. It might make sense to put your entire framework into a course and teach it at a surface level. It might make sense to take a piece of it and have a series of courses that people graduate into as they finish them, right? So you have full permission here to not teach your entire body of work in one course, right? It's okay to pick a thing and think about, focus on the transformation of the client, and think what you would need to put in there to get that transformation, right? So deciding on what your course is going to be about. Put a date on the calendar for a workshop. Hey, and if I was really going to be mean, I'd make you all do it right now. If you want bonus points, you want to put your workshop date in the chat right now and tell me when it's happening. I will send you something. I don't know what. But I would love that commitment. Amazing. Craft your narrative and go ahead and sell that workshop to your people. Say, who wants this? Do that market research. Say, if I were to do it, who'd be interested? Start thinking through your narrative. How is this different? How is this the thing that's going to solve that problem when nothing else has? because that's really the key. And step 4 is literally just go. Doesn't have to be perfect. It actually is going to be a very messy first draft at first, and that's okay. That is okay, especially if it's a founding member course. We talk about the IKEA effect, if anybody's familiar with it. The IKEA effect is they've shown that people who built their own furniture actually valued it more highly than the people who had it built for them. So when you take founding members into your course, your initial cohort, your first people, and they feel like they have a say in how the course is going to go, and their feedback is valued, and they're going to influence what you teach and how you deliver it and what's happening, that makes up for and is sometimes even more valuable than them getting a fully polished delivered course. So your founding members are going to be your biggest fans. All right. Some things to avoid. We talked about it. Getting caught up in perfectionism. Just do it. Just put it out there. Just try. What's the worst that could happen? Creating it before you sell it. We talked about why you should not do that. We want to get paid to create it, deliver it quickly, live to people. I've heard of people who, like, I have all these scripts for my course and I'm still filming it and I'm stuck on module 3. Do you think they're gonna, when do you think they're gonna launch theirs? Maybe maybe a year from now, when they make block time on their calendar to film and edit and do all the things. No, you don't need to. Why? Trying to launch without a strategy and a narrative, right? So thinking about how you're telling the story around this course is key. And another mistake is following someone else's plan if it does not feel good to you. Because there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, launch this way. Oh, no, you have to do it this way. Or no, this is how it works. And really what's going to work is the thing that feels good to you, because that's the energy that you're bringing to that launch, that course, that promotion. So I have a little framework that I teach called Launch Flow. And this is the program that I actually just wrapped up launching. And I'm running a live cohort now on it. And there are 5 flows in this launch flow process. When you're launching a course or a program and selling it, and ideally repeating those launches again and again. So it starts with cash flow, right? You have the right offer at the right time. Next comes lead flow. Do you have an ideal audience, and do you really know that audience and what they're struggling with? Idea flow. Do you have the right type of launch for your business, and are you sort of moving people through those ideas in the right way? Workflow, so your process, your systems, your timing, the support, and energy flow. And this is the one that a lot of people miss. It's how you feel throughout the process. Because if this feels hard, if this feels not aligned, if this feels like something that is way, way, way outside your comfort zone, then that energy is going to show up with you. So it takes some sort of centering and thinking and really thinking about what you want and coming up with something that you love, and getting to the point where this is so good, everybody needs to buy this. That's the feeling you want. That's the energy you want. That's what you want to show up with and sell with. So I have a gift for you. It is a roadmap that sort of breaks down each of the flows in this process in a little bit more detail. Call it the Launch Flow Roadmap, and you can get it at the URL right here on your screen, dwcopy.com/roadmap. Can go ahead and get that. And it just walks through those 5 flows in a little bit more detail when you get to the point when you are ready to launch your course. Like, you've done the workshop, you've got it, and now you're ready to get it out to more people in a bigger way.
And we'll also include that link when we send out the follow-up link for the recording.
Beautiful. Okay. That is what I have in terms of teaching and words. I wanted to leave enough space for questions and workshops for you to bring your own situations, I'm happy to chat through them and help you talk through them. So if there are questions on this, questions that you have about your stuff, please feel free.
Let's see, if you want to stop the screen share, we'll get everybody space a little bit bigger.
There we go. Much better.
I saw
Okay.
Pam
Yeah.
and Lucinda have their hands up.
Hey, Danielle, this is like amazing. And I love Israel. It's so beautiful there. So I recently was on a mastermind, a business incubator. And what I said was, whatever I said prompted everybody to say, why do you not believe this? And so what you just said at the end is what I believe is going to put out there. So I'm a very confident person. Ask Kathy. I'm very confident, but for whatever reason, I can't move another step. I really believe in what I want to do. I really know it's going to be amazing. I just can't change my thought. I can't click over to this is amazing. Maybe it is imposter syndrome because I'm pretty new at what I'm doing. If you have any thought, I mean, what they basically told me Tuesday was just believe in yourself. You can do it. And I'm like, okay, well, I need a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, where's the expert on imposter syndrome here in the room? Who's here? Who said imposter syndrome? I don't remember.
I am not an expert. I don't claim to be, but it is a common thing. Like the statistics say 70% of people admit to having it, but I think all people have it. I was one of those people who said I didn't have it, but then I am capable of self-reflection, and I do have it. So yes, people often say fake it till you make it. Those people are full of garbage. So yeah, no, imposter syndrome is real. Sorry. I am also full of self-confidence. So just not about certain things.
Certain things, right? And the reason I think that happens, again, from experience, is that we don't necessarily have the proof yet to ourselves, or we don't fully acknowledge that that proof exists, right? We tend to like brush it off like, oh no, yeah, I've done that, but it wasn't really because it was, you know, this other person or this other thing or these circumstances. No. So what I would say is, especially if you're sort of new in the space, give yourself ways to get easy yeses and validate what you're doing. So if that is working with people one-on-one for now, you know, doing some work to get some testimonials in the door, leveraging your book if you have it, right? Leveraging the work that you've done there and what people have said about it. If your course is your course going to be a continuation of what you talk about in your book?
Me.
Me.
Actually, I don't know if there'll be a book. I've talked to Kathy about that later. But they're actually workshops that I'm facilitating. And so there's written information that I probably will be writing, but I think I should just go ahead and just be more confident about the workshops, because if I do the work, then I'm gonna be able to write the book, or at least content that could appear in a book.
Right. So could you sell the workshop again, like record it even to an audience of 1 or 2 people? And even invite for free some of your biggest fans into the room to cheer you on and say, hey, you're awesome. That always helps. You know, invite the people in this room. Sure, why not?
Thank you.
Right? Okay. Anyone else have, Lucinda.
I was curious about when you mentioned a workbook. What does that look like?
Sorry, a workbook to go with your course? Yeah. Depends on your subject matter, right? Because if you think about a learning environment, an adult learning environment, but in general, how we learn, some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic, right? Like they need to write it down to actually get the information and you know, so having some sort of written thing where they can think and fill in their answers and reflect, again, to the extent that it fits your subject matter, that's all. And if you're thinking about fully creating your course, once you have the workshop recorded, thinking about multiple modalities and trying to incorporate as many different modalities into your course as possible to be accessible, right? So having parts that are, just the audio of your recording so people can listen to it as a podcast almost, or having a workshop, or having the transcript. I am not a video watcher, I am a reader. So if I'm in a course and it's like a 60-minute video, I'm like, there's no transcript. No. I'll do it, but I'm like 2x speed, whatever. So thinking, and also for people who, may have different needs around learning, having those modalities for them.
How highly produced do you think that has to be? Is it something that can be, just done in PowerPoint that is?
It can be done in any way you want. It can be a Google Doc with some words in it, and they just fill in the Google Doc. The idea is not necessarily about aesthetics, it's about utility. And if it's more useful for somebody to jot down their thoughts in a Google Doc, I'm playing with that in one of my launch flow course right now, just having people type it in a Google Doc, because they'll be able to share that with their team. They'll be able to copy it over somewhere else. I don't care how pretty it is. I like my slides to be pretty. I have a great designer. I have PDFs that are pretty. Canva is a great tool for doing workbooks like that. And you just pick a template and fill in the words and it's done.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Other questions? After the launch, how do you maintain engagement while seeking new clients? Okay, after the launch or after the course is over? It depends on if you're delivering the course live or if it's a self-paced, right?
After the course. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so if you've delivered it live, you might want to have something else for them to buy. So we're kind of thinking long-term, okay, and this is more of a bigger business model question. Generally, people who are already your clients or customers are more likely to buy from you again. If they've gone through the course and they've had a great experience, they might be like, hey, how do we keep doing this? And so you may have some ongoing support package, and that can be as simple as I'm doing 1 call a month for $100 or whatever it is, and you show up and answer their questions once a month, and it's like an ongoing kind of membership, or it can be a little bit more involved and planned out. But when you get to that point, you generally want to have some, or it can be after I launched my first course, I invited people to work with me one-on-one, at a high ticket consulting package. I gave them a discount because they were the first ones, but I got 75% of my course students to work with me one-on-one after that. So you have lots of options. They don't, again, the message that I want to reinforce here is they don't have to be super planned and structured, and you can, as you're figuring this all out, build in the structure later. First, prove the concept. Yeah, awesome. And in terms of maintaining engagement with the people who didn't buy, right, with your list in general, that is having content that goes out, mailing your list once a week, having a, saying, here's my thoughts on this, putting your face on social to the extent that that feels comfortable to you, right? Putting thoughts out there, creating content. And that content, there are quick ways to create that content, so it doesn't have to be very labor intensive, but just showing up and nurturing your people and providing value and saying from time to time, hey, want to know the next time I launch my program, blah, 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 click here. And then, again, they've raised their hands. You're sort of building an interest list for the next thing. Cool. Sheila, hi.
Hi, I want to explain. So first, my question, is there a guide rule about how you break, how much is enough for a course in one day, or for how much content can be consumed? And the second thing, I just want to explain, people tell themselves crazy stories in their head, and it's always easier to believe the negative thing. So that's where imposter syndrome comes from. And that's why, it's not like I'm an expert in it, right? But it's so hard to be here's my 2 cents on imposter syndrome, but everybody has their own demons to fight. So it's difficult to say. my particular dragon that I have to slay is not the same as whoever else's, right? Like, anyway, so yeah. Is there a guide rule as far as how much content and how much time? That was my question, you know?
Um, it's not necessarily. I think thinking about it from the paradigm of what is the transformation, what is the change that happens throughout the program, like the bridge. Where is someone starting from and where do you want them to be? I'll use an example again for my own business. I have a course called Inbox Love. Okay. It's a 14-day mini course delivered about email, delivered by email. There's 14 days of emails. You hit reply, you do the exercise, like it's done. That was not, I actually recorded a workshop to create videos to go with that. But the essence of the course is just 14 days of email tips. So, and that sells for $100. It could be as easy as that. Like, let me help you write better emails in 14 days. One little tip a day. What matters is the transformation. By the end, I have unlocked people's creativity in like, and they write back to me, they hit reply. So I see what they're writing and it's amazing. So that's an example of, I'm not trying to change your entire business. I'm just trying to change this one little piece and help you be more creative around writing emails. And the price point matches that. Now I have programs that are 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever it is, because the period is longer, the transformation is bigger. We're really looking at your entire business and creating systems. And that's not something that I would necessarily teach in a workshop. So yeah, there is some kind of limit. Generally, if it's something that you can teach in 2 to 3 hours and create a 5 to 8 module course around, that would work for the workshop model. If something is a little bit more intense, that's what we would call like a higher ticket offer that would be at a higher price point. Is that making sense?
Yes, I like, seriously, honestly, I didn't think about a course until I listened to you talk. So yes, I'm just thinking about how to break stuff down. So yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, and for you around like, could it be something, thinking about like the other piece of this is the vast majority of course buyers do not actually finish the course. So how are you also motivating people to consume and do the work and actually get the transformation? Your course could be a 14-day mini course that is delivered by like email or short little video or inspiration or something to shift your mindset about imposter syndrome in 14 days. Perhaps.
There's just so many ways to tactically think about how to approach it. That's all. And I hadn't thought about it. Great job, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. It's right. And the how, so think in there's so many ways to approach it. I would, again, this might sound a little woo-woo, but I'm kind of there. Sit with it and see what feels good. What feels good to you to deliver? What feels good to you to create? What feels like, oh, I could do this. I could get inspired on this.
Terrific. Well, Danielle, you have been such a wealth of information today. It's been fantastic, awesome information. And
Thank
what we'll do, remind everybody that there will be a follow-up email with a link to the recording so you can view it again. There was great information in there. And we'll also have contact information for Danielle, as well as the link to her free download. Thank you for all our guests. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Can I just ask
Sure.
before we go, and there's one more question around what tools do you use to capture and edit videos?
Oh, thank you.
It's just Zoom. Honestly, I record on Zoom and use a simple video editor. There are AI tools now that will do it for you. It's kind of amazing. So very, very easy. If you can put in the chat, like your biggest takeaway from this, that would be so, so helpful for me and give me great feedback. I would so appreciate that.
And then we'll include that. Now we are having another guest on May 25th. Same time, that's a Thursday. We'll be talking with Chris McClellan, founder of the Whole Care Network and podcasting. So he'll be talking about taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, and podcasting. Hopefully we can see you there.
Awesome. Thank you
And
so much for the takeaways. And thank you for being such a great audience. And if you're catching this on the replay, thanks for that too. Courses are not scary and doable. Yes, that is what I want. That is what we want.
we can do
Like
this.
the pillars, we can do this, right? It's easier than you might think. And so who's launching a course this year?
I'll raise my hand.
All
Awesome.
right, maybe.
Terrific.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.
Bye-bye.